Hey everyone, welcome back to SRC Names. Today I will go over in part 7 of my 20-part series on where I go over my list in reverse alphabetical order. I'll go through N and O names today. This will be the last series of letters in one post. The rest of my videos will focus on a single letter all the way back to A. So before I get into that, though, I wanted to show you some more new names that I have added since my last video. Most of these actually come from Amaryllis. As far as the boys, we have Emrys and Endymion, both of which I've heard before, but I hadn't heard them in a long time, and I have actually been seeing Endymion a lot on Nameberry, and they intrigued me to add them to my list. Especially Emrys. I really love the sound of Emrys. And then for the girls, Era, I really like. I heard this name from Raquel Cruz, and I had previously heard that name before, but with an incredibly interesting spelling, A-I-R-E-A. But I had not seen the spelling A-R-A, and I absolutely love it. Avelina, which is actually the long form of Ava. I also learned that from Raquel. And for the heck of it, I had heard of Aveline before, and I really like it, so I added that one. And then from Amaryllis's list, Eliora reminded me of Elliot a lot, so I added it, and I think it's a really pretty girl's name. I love the sound. And Elspeth. That also has a pretty sound to me. And one that I just heard, but not for a long time, is Ayana, or Ayana. I think it's Ayana, but I could be wrong. And at first, I didn't really like it as much as other Anna names, but it ended up growing on me, and so I added it to my list. So, starting with the boys, as far as N and O names, we have Nathan, Nathaniel with an A. I thought that was an uncommon spelling that I ended up really liking, especially early on in my names collecting journey. Then we have the common spelling of Nathaniel. Then Nelson, Nikos, Oaks, I think it is. I hadn't really heard the name before, so but the spelling intrigued me. Octavius, Odell, Oliver. That's one that I first heard about when our family was talking about what would we almost have been named. And so apparently my brother would have almost been named Oliver if I were named Elliot. So I thought that was interesting. That was the first time I'd heard the name, and it just blew up as far as me seeing it on a lot of lists, and not to mention it's number 3 on the top names list of 2019, and I really like it. Then we have Araya, Orion, which is a constellation name, and once I saw that it can be a boy's name, I ended up really liking it. Ovid, when I went through this list before making this video, I was thinking to myself, does Ovid sound too close to COVID? And I'm almost thinking of taking it off my list because of that. I might make a poll on Nameberry to see what others think. Or, of course, if you guys have any thoughts on that, feel free to comment. And I think the extra E helps. This is the name of a friend of mine, and I ended up really liking it early on in my names collecting journey, but now that when I said it out loud before I made the video, and I discovered that it was pretty similar to COVID, at least to my ears, I am questioning whether it should remain on the list. If it were to go off, this would actually be the second name off the list. The first is an alternative spelling of a name that I don't necessarily want to say on here. And then we have Owen. And for the longest time, I don't know if any of you have experienced this or not, but sometimes when I see a certain name, it automatically makes me think of another name. And in this case, I knew an Owen in elementary school who looks almost exactly like an Evan who was in the same class of mine. And so that was actually the first time I'd ever heard of the name Owen. And so to this day, it still makes me think of Evan, even if I don't want to. So I thought that was interesting. So on to the girls now. We have a lot of unique names here. We have Nadine or Nadienne, Nadeska, Natalie with an E, Natalia, Natalie, common spelling, Natasha. All three of these names I've loved since the first time I heard them. Then Neko, Nicolette, Nikki, Narendra. I really like Narendra, especially how it sounds. Noel. For the longest time I associated it with Christmas, but I ended up really liking the E-L-L-E spelling, and so I added it. Nyla. 3 unique spellings of Oakley. And then we have Oakland, Octavia, Olivia, which is the second most... No, it is the most common. It was the second most common girl's name of 2018, but Olivia topped Emma last year. And so I still really like Olivia, though. And then, no joke, this is the real name of someone I saw on a game show actually not too long ago, Annika Maya. And when the host read her name, he read it correctly. I was amazed. And then we have Oriana. I have always adored Oriana since I first saw it on a list. And it is definitely one of my favorite O names that I often forget about, in fact, even though I love it so much. And with that, thank you for watching. Look for the M names next time, and hope you enjoyed.